Commander Reed stood before the alien delegation, his weathered hands gripping the ancient rifle. The weapon seemed almost laughably primitive next to the sleek energy weapons of the Vordan representatives. At nearly 200 years old, the M1 Garand had survived Earth's wars, humanity's expansion to the stars, and now found itself at the center of an interspecies dispute. You expect us to believe this antique is what your forces used to repel our scouts? Ambassador Tull's translator conveyed his words, but his body language, 6 limbs twitching in barely contained amusement, needed no interpretation. The meeting chamber aboard the human diplomatic vessel Prometheus hummed with tension. Reed had been chosen specifically for this mission. A veteran soldier, museum curator, and one of the few humans who could still properly operate pre-space age firearms. "I don't expect you to believe anything, Ambassador," Reed replied evenly. "I'm simply here to demonstrate historical context." The Vordan delegation, with their iridescent exoskeletons and compound eyes, exchanged glances of contempt. They had arrived 3 standard months ago, expecting to find an easy conquest in the isolated human colony of New Montana. Instead, they'd lost an entire scouting regiment to colonists armed with what the Vordan considered museum pieces. "Your energy shields were calibrated to stop plasma weapons and energy beams," explained Admiral Jones, the senior human representative. "They weren't designed to stop physical projectiles moving at supersonic speeds." Ambassador Tull made a dismissive gesture. "A technical oversight, one that has been corrected." "Perhaps," Reed said, "but I think you misunderstand something fundamental about humans and our weapons." The central Vordan, General Kruk, stepped forward. His carapace bore decorative etchings marking his many victories. "Your species' attachment to outdated technology is perplexing. Our infantry carries weapons capable of vaporizing targets at 5 kilometers. This mechanism requires manual reloading after a handful of shots." Reed nodded. "True, but there's something I'd like to demonstrate with your permission." The Admiral had arranged for a firing range to be set up at the far end of the chamber. A simple target stood 50 meters distant, reasonable for a skilled human marksman, laughably close by Vordan combat standards. "Proceed," Tull said with the Vordan equivalent of a dismissive shrug. Reed raised the Garand to his shoulder, his movements practiced and fluid despite his age. The woodstock against his cheek felt warm, alive in a way the composite materials of modern weapons never did. "This rifle," Reed explained as he took aim, "was designed in the 1930s by John Garand. It became standard issue for American soldiers during World War II, a global conflict that ended nearly 300 years ago." The Vordan representatives chittered among themselves, clearly unimpressed. "Its design is simple, reliable, and effective," Reed continued. 8 rounds of .30-06 Springfield ammunition in an en-bloc clip. When the last round is fired, the crack of the rifle echoed through the chamber. The target, a simple silhouette, showed a perfect hole through its center. Reed fired 7 more times in rapid succession, each shot finding its mark with precision that belied the weapon's age. After the 8th shot, the rifle made a distinctive ping sound as it ejected the empty clip. The metallic noise echoed across the suddenly silent room. "That sound," Reed said into the quiet, "was often the last thing enemy soldiers heard during Earth's bloodiest conflict. It meant an American soldier was reloading, but it also meant 8 of their comrades might already be dead." General Crook's compound eyes narrowed. "Primitive ballistics are still ballistics. Our updated shields will stop such projectiles easily." "Perhaps," Reed acknowledged, "but there's something else you should understand about human weapons." He loaded another clip into the Garand with practiced ease. "We've been killing each other with increasingly efficient methods for thousands of years. While your species was developing your first energy weapons, we had already perfected hundreds of ways to kill with physical projectiles." Ambassador Tull's translator conveyed his dismissive tone. "And yet you abandoned them for energy weapons yourselves." "Not abandoned," Admiral Jones interjected, supplemented. "Every human colony maintains arsenals of projectile weapons alongside modern arms. Every military recruit learns to use them. They're silent compared to energy weapons. They work underwater, in vacuum, through radiation fields and in electromagnetic disruption zones. Reed placed the rifle on the demonstration table. Next to it, he laid several other items: a simple bow with arrows, a revolver, and what appeared to be a small tube with a handle. This, he indicated the tube, is a 12-gauge shotgun. This revolver is over 300 years old. The bow design is thousands of years old. All still deadly, all still in use. General Kruk stepped forward, picking up an arrow with surprising delicacy given his clawed appendages. You maintain these as cultural artifacts? No, Reed said. As weapons, tools, options. He gestured around the room. Every human vessel still carries projectile weapons because they work when other systems fail. They're simple to maintain, easy to manufacture, and difficult to detect with standard scans. Your point is made, Ambassador Tull said, his earlier amusement notably absent. But surely you understand this changes nothing regarding the strategic situation. Admiral Jones smiled. The point, Ambassador, is that humans have never abandoned any weapon that works. We've been evolving our methods of warfare continuously for millennia. The colonists who defeated your scout regiment weren't special forces. They were farmers and miners who keep old rifles to hunt local wildlife. Reed nodded. What the Admiral means is that if a handful of colonists with hunting rifles could cause you this much trouble, you might want to reconsider what would happen if you faced our actual military. The ambassador's translator remained silent as the alien dignitaries exchanged glances. Finally, Tull spoke. We will reassess the strategic value of further expansion into human territory. As the delegation departed, General Kruk lingered, his attention fixed on the old rifle. It is elegant, the Vordan admitted. Simple but effective. Perhaps there is more we could learn from human history than we anticipated. Reed allowed himself a small smile. General, if there's one constant in human history, it's that underestimating old technology is often a fatal mistake.